Alright, hello everyone, DSP here, and this is a completely impromptu video, meaning this wasn't anything that was planned out, and I'll tell you right now, because I'm doing it on a same stream as I played gameplay, my audio of my voice and this video will not be perfectly synced. It's going to be slightly out of sync, because there's no way for the microphone to also sync with a game in the stream perfectly. I apologize for that, okay? So, anyway, the reason I'm making this video is not to scare the crap out of you like this! Well, it didn't work because I missed. There it is. Oh, God, it scared the shit out of me. But anyway, is to say that I have now completed Persona 4. And I have a few things I want to say about the series. I have a few things I want to say about the game in particular. Persona 4 is a game that ever since I started on YouTube back in 2008, I shit you not, people asked me to do a playthrough of it. And I didn't even know what the hell Persona was back then. People were like, play Shin Megami Tensei Persona. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? You know, back then, the games that I were playing were very Americanized. It was like, all Western games. And even though every once in a while I shoved in a game like Final Fantasy 13, mostly the games that I were playing for YouTube back in 2008 to say 2010 were very Westernized games. And then after the years of people asking me, kind of, building it up again and again and saying, you should try this series. You will like this series, especially if you're a fan of JRPGs, you'll like this series. Unfortunately, I never got around to it. I heard that these games were insanely long. People would even say, Phil would never play a game like that. That would take him weeks to months to beat, and there's no, he'll never beat it. And, over the years, things have changed. It's not like it used to be, where when I play one game, I played it from start to finish. You know what I mean? I would beat games within 2-3 days. Now I actually balance out my content. I have live streams that are scheduled. It's much more professional and much more like a business. And because of that, I'm able to take a game like Persona 4, that's some 80 hours of gameplay, and basically turn it into an ongoing event that actually can go over 2 months, and it worked. So I really feel that 2015, this year in particular, was the time to play a game like this, and I want to say this up front. I want to say thank you to those of you who asked me to play the game over the years, who kept bugging me about it, who, when I started doing Patreon this year, pledged, nominated the game, voted for it, and then for 2 months kept it there, kept it going. Because we could have ended after a couple streams, but and then I also want to thank, of course, the people who watched, the people who turned out every stream on YouTube, every time I uploaded the videos on demand. You know what I mean? People consistently watched the playthrough despite the fact the game was an 80-hour-long escapade. And I almost feel like that, like this is a playthrough that is going to stay with me because it was so long, because it was a major part of my content for over the past 2 months. And it actually was something that was consistently good viewership. Not that it was amazing, bestseller, oh my god, brand new game hype. But people turned out to watch it every time. And that's freaking awesome. It's good to know that in the year of 2015, I could play a game from 2008 and it will hold interest, with my viewing audience. And that I'm entertaining you guys with it, okay? Then now all that being said, let's actually start talking about the game, alright? Seriously, this game is awesome for multiple reasons. Is it the graphics? Of course not. The graphics, I'll be honest, probably aren't even on par for a 2008 PS2 game. I've seen games on the PS2 that actually looked way better than Persona 4, but that's not what this was about. It was about a combination of RPG with traditional JRPG turn-based combat with some cool things thrown in there, such as the ability of your party to save your life or insta-kill enemies or knock down enemies and do group attacks, and the implementation of the personas, leveling up of the personas, combination of the personas. It's classic JRPG combat with a twist that makes it interesting and unique and makes you want to keep playing the game when it comes to the combat. But taking that formula and not throwing it into the easy, right? It would be easy to put it into a futuristic sci-fi setting or throw it into a fantasy, medieval setting like everyone does with RPGs. But no, Persona says we're going to do something different. We're going to put it in modern day. We're going to put it in with cultural references heavily to the Japanese culture. We're going to have, teen angst, almost like you are a teenager growing up during this high school time in Japan. And it's freaking awesome. And then not only does it combine Japanese culture, teen angst, modern day stuff, and turn-based RPG, but then it makes it a murder mystery too. So it's literally grasping at different things from popular genres and popular just entertainment things whatsoever, and just taking all those subjects and slamming it together into one really awesome package. I had just as much fun playing the combat of the game in the dungeons as I did doing S-links outside of the dungeons, as I did doing cool social, not just social interactions, but mini games and side quests, and the story of the game was really good. And, yeah, there were things that were a little bit overblown, or, you could tell some things that don't really make too much sense. A lot of sexuality, which a lot of people, oh God, it's supposed to be like younger teenagers. How could there be sexuality in the game? When you understand if you're in Japan, that's perfectly fine. That's like normal for their culture. In fact, their age of consent, which is why there's so much sexual reference in the game, is much younger than it is in the United States where I live. So you gotta understand all those frames of reference when you're playing the game, or it might seem like a weird game, but I kind of got it. You know what I mean? And I liked it a lot. I really did. Even though it was 80 hours long, I would say there were very few times when it felt like it was dragging on, except I would probably say some of the earlier dungeons, because when you're just starting to play a game and you're trying to learn the ins and outs of the combat system, you don't want to do a 12-floor dungeon. You know what I mean? Like, that's too much. I think if the game eased you in a little bit, if the earlier dungeons were easier to get you used to the gameplay, and then they got longer and harder and more complex later on, that would have been a little bit more. But this game, they want to throw you right in, right? And it's a good thing, I'll be honest, it's a good thing that I played on easy. Not to say that I don't think I could have beaten the game on hard, or not hard, excuse me, on normal mode. I think I could have. I just think there would have been a lot more frustration with cheap kills, which happened to me a lot. And if I didn't have the revive items, I would have been pretty pissed with those few times that I used them. I think I used them like 4 or 5 times during the playthrough. So I'm glad I played it on easy. But at the same time, I can understand if you really are, man, I want to challenge myself with an RPG that isn't forgiving. This is your cup of tea. Plus, again, if you're into Japanese culture and stuff, that's where I really liked the game. It was variety. It wasn't all just one thing. A lot of these RPGs, like some people ask me to this day, why did I stop playing Xenoblade Chronicles, okay? Now, that was an RPG that if I'd played the whole game, probably would have been around 60 hours long. I think I played some 20 into it, and I got bored with the game. People saying, why did you get bored? It's pretty simple, because the game didn't have variety. The game was more of the same throughout the whole game. It didn't combine cool things. There was no murder and mystery. It was just typical fantasy combined with a little bit of futuristic stuff, really repetitive combat, and it was to a point where you're like, I'm fucking bored. Versus this game hooks you. Seriously, this game hooks you, and you're like, wow, there's this big mystery. There's new characters constantly coming into the story until almost the very end of the game, and you don't know who the murderer is till the end of the game, and, the leveling of the personas, the combining of the personas, the S-links, you're always doing something that's keeping you interested, versus that game really kind of, tired me out. A lot of people are saying I said the wrong things. It's Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't know what I said. It's Xenoblade Chronicles. That game bored me after a while. You know what I mean? And this game did not. This game kept me hooked for over 2 months. And I am happy again. I'll say this again, that I'm not like I used to be. And a lot of people are like, Phil, no, because we like how you used to be. Because you used to play a game from start to finish, and within a couple days, you'd upload, 70 videos a day. You would have the game done within 2 to 3 days, and you'd be going through tons of games, an insane amount of videos. I'm glad I'm not like that anymore, because I'll be honest, if I did play Persona 4 in that method, I probably would have been burnt out after a few days to a week. I probably would have said, I'm just tired of the game, because I played it the way that I did, playing it every couple of days, stretching it out, playing it a few times a week, and giving time for a little bit of marathons here and there when I had time for it. It always stayed fresh in my mind, and when I got back to it, I was like, wow, I actually feel like playing it more. And I think that's how a game like this really needs to be digested. It's not a game to be rushed through. It's not a game to tackle all in one big sitting. It's something that you need to take your time with and enjoy and have it become an ongoing thing, that it kind of feels like, it's time for me to go back to Persona, rather than, it's time for me to play more and more of this game that never ends. In addition to all of that, I do have to say that Persona 4 has one of the best soundtracks for an RPG especially that I've heard. And even though it's funny, it's J-pop, right? And everyone will say, it's J-pop. The music that they selected for the game isn't so much that it's droning on and it annoys the fuck out of you. There's so many games that, you play it and you're like, okay, the first few times you hear the song, it's fine. Then after you go back to that location again, you're like, I don't ever want to hear this song again. In this game, how many times did we go back to the financial district, right? Or the, the school or here, and it plays, even though it rotates the songs depending on the weather, the songs stay fresh and new, and it never really feels like, and even the battle theme, let's face it, yes, the battle theme gets played a ton, but it's catchy, and it's interesting, and it's different, and it's upbeat, versus these other games where it's just like, I gotta hear this again, man, really, seriously? The soundtrack is great, And it really was one of the major reasons why I think I liked the game so much, is because when I come back, oh, I get to hear this music again, you start singing it, you get into the game again, versus those other games where it's just like a generic cinematic thing. And, you know, I hate to say it, a lot of the RPGs do this generic music, and you're like, and you get bored of it, and you really don't give a shit about it. So, I definitely liked it. I definitely liked the soundtrack. Now, Persona 5's coming out. And that's one of the major reasons when people said, we want you to play Persona 4, that I said, let's definitely put it in the voting for Patron's Choice, because I want to see, you know, what's going to happen. I want to play one of these games before Persona 5 comes out, and this would be the perfect opportunity. And it was. It honestly was. This was a time during the months of April and May of 2015 when there were a few releases, but it was sparse enough that we were able to stretch that out during that period of time and play through the game, you know, at a decent pace. And I loved it. Persona 5. I'm wondering what they're going to do with it. Obviously, it's going to probably be held in modern times. What kind of music is it going to be? Will it be more J-pop? I actually heard that Persona 3 was more like almost rap, which I've heard Japanese rap, and I don't like it. I'll be honest with you guys. I think it's kind of crappy. I'm just saying, that's my opinion. Now, other people might like it. I never particularly had any kind of a taste for it. So, I don't know what they're going to do with this game. It's supposedly going to be on PS3 and PS4. Now, I would hope the PS4 is going to have a graphical upgrade. If anything, the one negative about this game is the graphics are pretty outdated. Let's face it. I'd love to see this with modern graphical effects and things going on. Widescreen, you know what I mean? More full dialogue. There was a lot of times there wasn't dialogue. Maybe they'll have full dialogue for the next game. I don't know. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do with the game. I think a lot of people are, and we just don't know yet. We just don't know yet what's going to happen with Persona 5. Is it coming out this year, 2015? Is it coming out next year? We really don't know yet, because there's just rumors and you know, you hear hints that they're hinting it'll be out, but we really don't know. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'll be honest. When I play it, I'll probably play that game the same as I played Persona 4. I'll probably play the hell out of it when it first comes out, and then I'll probably give it a rest, and I'll spread it out over a couple of months so that I can digest it and take my time with it and enjoy it, versus rushing through it and get burnt out. For a long game like this, I really feel that's the way to go about it. And you know, a lot of people say, but Phil, then people get tired because the playthrough takes too long to finish and people lose interest. I understand that. I'm one of those people who, when I see other YouTubers who upload, like, there are YouTubers who are like playing Dying Light still. I mean, it was, when did that game come out? Late January? Early February? I don't even know. I'm looking at my calendar here. Yeah, late January, and some people just finished it. And it's like, yeah, I understand. If you take a game like that and you stretch it out such length with only, like, you know, so little content to cover stuff, it could get incredibly boring waiting for it to continue. But I also don't think that a game like this, that it should be rushed. You know what I mean? I think that there's a good mix, a perfect mix to do it, and I have to find that balance. I think for Persona 4, we did a good job. I'm hoping that whenever Persona 5 comes out, hopefully, and I'll say this right now, fingers crossed, please do not release Persona 5 during the hardcore gaming season of this year. That could probably be one of the worst choices, I think, for the game, because for someone like me who enjoys the game and wants to appreciate it, but you know what's going to happen. You're going to have a new Assassin's Creed, you're going to have the new Call of Duty, you're going to have, you know, the Star Wars Battlefront, you're going to have this game and that game. There's going to be so many games during the hardcore gaming season that I'm going to want to play. I'm not going to be able to focus enough on Persona, and more than likely I'll get burnt out or not get to go back to it, you know, quickly enough. I would much rather be able to balance it during a time, let's say, come out in January and February, right? When there's a few releases, but not too much, so I can balance it with other stuff. That I'd be happy with, but I guess we'll have to see what happens and what they decide to do with it. But I'll close with this. I am maturing as a person and as a gamer. The more that I do this as a business, the more that I do this for a living, I realize that I have a much wider variety of content to enjoy than that narrow focus that I had when I started in 2008, and I really kind of stayed narrowly focused on must be new release, must be overhyped, you know? Now I'm really widening my horizons to I mean, how many indie games have I played recently? And, you know, stuff like Persona 4, stuff that I never would have played, right? And I'm loving the hell out of it. I wish that I had a more open attitude like that in previous years. I wish that I'd been more susceptible to change and more susceptible to things that people suggested to me. Regardless of the fact that I'm not getting huge fucking views, I don't care. If I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I'm able to still make a living doing what I'm doing. I don't need to make it big on YouTube. I don't need to play the most popular games. I can play fun games like Persona 4 that came out in 2008, 7 years ago, and still have fun and share that experience with you guys and gals. Thank you for that. And please continue to suggest games like Persona 4. Please continue to make me see that there's more than just narrow focus, super hype. You know what I mean? I love to expand my horizons. And I want to say, I have to emphasize, thank you to the patrons, because it was a major reason that these past 2 months, April and May, when I was doing Persona 4, and I skipped games, by the way. There were a few games that came out that people were like, are you going to play? And I completely skipped by them and didn't even put them on my calendar. I remember when the weeks came, people were, Phil's not playing that? I can't believe it. No, I'd rather focus on games that I'm enjoying rather than worry about some big overhyped game. And by the way, all those mainstream games that I skipped in March, April, and May, I didn't miss anything. From what everyone's saying, I didn't miss anything. It was better for me to focus in on the stuff that I played and have the ability to keep operating the business thanks to the support of the patrons than me having to rush and play the overhyped crap just to say it sucks and get the cheap view for it. Okay? So, thank you very much to everyone for the awesome experience that was Persona 4. I hope to see you all come on back and hopefully spread the word if you enjoyed seeing me play Persona 4 so other people can watch and enjoy it, and maybe everyone will come in and tune in for Persona 5 whenever that game comes out and releases, alright? Thanks everyone for watching the playthrough. Thanks for watching this vlog, my final thoughts on the game. Awesome game. Cannot wait for Persona 5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You left me with an awesome positive feeling, and I hope you have one too. That is it. Thanks very much, and I'll see you later.